Hello everybody, I'm Cobbler Bob Powers and this is my 1971 Cutlass S resto mod. Today we're gonna wet sand and buff the car. Okay, so let's go. All right guys, if you're a fan of my channel and following this car, really appreciate that. Today we're at a point where I'm going to do some wet sanding. And I will show you why the car needs to be wet sanded. Obviously just because I painted it right here at home in this garage. If you haven't seen those videos, I will link them as usual in the description below, okay? So let me turn the camera around and kind of take you around the car and show you the good, bad, and the very ugly of it. I know it looks good from here, but let me show you. So first of all, what has not been painted? The hood and the trunk lid have not been painted. Everything else was. And if you go in the right light, you can kind of tell. They scanned the paint. There you can see, this is pretty accurate to what it looks like in daylight. The new paint is a little bit darker. This is obviously got some, it says no orange peel in it and a little bit of a hazing on it, right? It could really use a good waxing, but the match isn't bad. I don't think most people would notice unless you were looking, but let me show you first of all, in the in the horizontal surfaces especially. Let me even zoom in a little bit. You can see right there, that's dirt in the paint, right? And it's got quite a bit of it. See what doesn't wipe away? All those things that are reflecting really are, really are dirt. I'll zoom in on them just to give you an idea of scale. But like I said there, that's in the paint, okay? So there's quite a bit of it on the tops of the fenders, the sides. The bodywork though, like where I blocked it, I mean, it's legit not bad. The straightness of it, flatness, it's good where I didn't screw it up, I guess, is the best way to describe this car. You can see around some of these things are what the trim will go onto. And I did a poor job around some of those. You can see distortion, but that's gonna mostly get covered up by the trim piece itself. But you can see there's no waves on that door really. But you'll see that I missed spots. For example, here's where I started to sand out some of the dirt nibs. I picked some of the biggest ones. You can see a ring around where it was. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna come out. But then you can see how bad the rest of them are. Right, you see those right there. So there's quite a bit of trash in the paint. Some of this is dust that has settled. No, most of that is, what I'm trying to remove. But here's a spot I missed. Let me see if I can catch it in the light. Right there, there's a spot that can you see the distortion there? I missed some body work needed, additional body work needed. There's a line right there. You see it in the glare, but it's not horrible. So there's some things like that. Big run over here somewhere. There's a big, I'll try and catch it in the light. Maybe I need to go this way. There's a big sag, I guess. Yeah, you can see the sag. And on this side of the car, there's a couple sags on this side, because this side right there, can you see them? They're sagging because it was a little tighter and I didn't have enough space. That's a lesson learned, to get the car in the dead center of the garage and get better lighting. And then the reason I didn't put this trim back on is there's actually paint running. Look at that. It's pretty bad. That's going to need a lot of work with the sanding. You can see the dripping off of there like water. And right there. So that's my mission here today, is try and correct all this. I'm just going to keep going here on the roof where I already started, and I'm going to use Gregg Cooper's advice. In case you don't know who Gregg Cooper is, he's a painter. He painted the VO Twister. This car here, I'll link this video. If you ever wanted to know what actually happened to Mondello's VO Twister, he's the guy. Dave owns it now, but Gregg is the guy that painted it and restored the car back to its glory. So, but his suggestion, I believe he told me to use 600 and get progressively finer from there. So it's wet, it's damp still, but it's working. You can see where it's taking out orange peel. Maybe I need to go a little more through there. And it's taking the dirt nibs out. They are pretty much gone. business, boys. It's 2000 grit. I mean, but it's starting to get a gloss on it, you know? I think we're in business. It's not perfect. You can still see, like, I can still see the ghost of one there, but dadgum, man, compared to what I started with. Still drying off, but this is what it looks like after 3000 grit. It's kind of interesting, huh? And there's the damp 3000 grit. Because I'm hoping more what it'll look like when it's buffed. See here where I didn't get right up close to the edge, you can still see a little bit of the orange peel, but I think it's gonna be okay. Like some of the stuff like that one, I'm gonna try not to, the younger me would have tried to get that out, but I'm leaving it because I know if I go for that, I'm probably gonna break through the clear. I'm gonna leave it alone. I think we're in business here. Getting some gloss. This is a part where I'd love to have an expert that says I should do this, I should do that. I don't know. It's getting there. Okay, so I talked to Gregg Cooper, the painter, who's, who does this, like professionally. And I think what I'm looking for is like this here. So if you can see, I can't see any really, I'm not none, but you don't see scratches or swirls. Whereas like, for example, here, you can still see there's some gloss in this area right here. You can see there's some gloss and I can see scratches. I'm gonna zoom in, right? So you see the difference. I think this is what I'm looking for with 1000 versus that, I believe, is what I'm looking for. And again, this is a 1000 grit stage. Good, not good enough. I can still see scratches there. Again, I'm not the expert, but I think this is what I'm looking for. I think now it's ready for 1500. So once again, this is 1000 grit. I just did a quarter of the roof. So let's just look at the driver's side, front of the cars that way. Can you tell which side, left or right, that I just did with the 1200? See right there, this side is 1200. I'm sorry, 1500. Let me double check. Yeah, 1500. And this is the 1000 side. Come on, it's having trouble focusing. Again, this is 1500. And this is the 1000. There is a difference. Here is the whole roof done in 1500 grit. I think it's done anyway. And again, little things like that ring there, I'm absolutely not gonna try and get that out because I know if I do, the rest of it will go so low and I'll probably burn through. I don't think you'll be able to really notice that little ring once the rest of it's shiny. The right half is done with 2000 grit, and watch the reflection as I go right about here. See, it gets dull. There's more gloss. It's working, I think. Now here's that same area, finished in 2000. So look at the fluorescent lights and then see how the gloss kind of goes away because that half has not yet been done in 2000. So I think it's working. And here's the whole roof done in 2000 grit. And by the way, the 2000 grit that I got from a Alpavi paint shop in Canton, Ohio, you see here it's got this foam backing, but this itself, let me show you. The pad itself has an extra layer. This is an extra foam backing, Velcro on two sides. You can stick the paper to it, but this is padded paper. It's kind of interesting. So at this stage, you're not trying to block it down. That's why you don't want something hard. Whatever contours are there, you just want to follow it. So a couple other tips from Gregg. He says the first time, again, start with 1,000. I started too coarse, but let's just say you're going this way, left to right. He says, do not go in circles. I just showed him one of the pictures. He's like, were you going in circles? Because I can see swirls. I'm like, yeah. So that surprised me. So go back and forth. Right? Let's say left, you know, front to back or left to right in this case. And then when you're going to the next grit, the 1500, go the other way, right? Side to side, okay? Or, you know, front to back, I should say. But anyway, point is one time go this way, other time go this way, one time go this way, the next time alternate. He said, then if you see lines this way while you're sanding this way, you can tell those are from the previous grit and not what you're doing now. So I thought that was a great tip. So this quarter has been done in 3,000 grit. Watch a reflection. See, it does definitely get hazier. It is definitely glossier. This half is done in 3,000. This half is done in 2,000. Pretty interesting, huh? And here's the car from the other side. Again, this is in 3,000. It looks very different than the last time I buffed. One side of me says I should wait for my friend Ken to buff because he's really good at it. Not that he's necessarily done it with new wet sanded paint jobs, but I know he's experienced with buffing. But the other impatient side of me says, screw it, I'm going to try myself. I don't think I'm going to mess it up buffing, so let's give it a shot. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's shiny, you know? I mean, it's obviously hazy, but it's interesting. Okay, discovery time. Let's see what we got. Decent. I can still see some scratches, but dang, I might leave it. I think I have a decent paint. Let me clean it off here and we'll see what we got. It's almost nice. I mean, you can see there the hazing that's running through it. I'm gonna buff it some more. I'm gonna try not to get too greedy or whatever, but it's, I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. I mean, it's almost really nice. Let me look at it from the other side, maybe try and get you to see some of the reflections in it. Here's the top of the fender, which was the worst, and I think this was the worst of the two sides. You can actually still see those little spots, but I'm not going to go further because now we don't have like actual dirt sticking out. I'm not going to get greedy, but this is what it looks like with 3,000 grit. I started this time with 1,000. I started with 1,000 instead of 600, so 1,000, and then 1,500. Then 2,000, then 3,000, all wet. Just squirting it down with this bottle here, so. All right, let's buff this. Wow, now that I actually know what the crap I'm doing with wet sanding. I've not even wiped off the buffing compound yet, but that's incredible. The junk is like 95% gone. I am very happy. Next objective, if you look right here, you see a big run. My objective is to get that out. Per Gregg's instructions, I have a nice piece of 1/2 inch thick. What do you call this? Like particle board? I used to build a speaker box. 1.5 inches wide, round the edges. As long as a piece of sandpaper is what he told me, so I'm gonna use this. That was 220. That's a little too aggressive. This is 400. I think that's enough with the 400. Let's go to 600. I'm gonna go to 1,000. I don't have any 800. Be daggone. It worked. It's gone. It wasn't too hard. Let's call it 8 minutes and 18 seconds. I don't see any evidence of that running there anymore. Here's another one. Can you see him? Right there. See if we can get rid of those. And this one's pretty awful too. You see there's drips there. It's hard to see. It's actually physically, like, you can see how it's dripping off there. I guess it's not horrible really above here. And it's not terrible, but there's some there. And we've got one more here. As you can see, a big series of sags there, a big run. And so maybe just a little bit left there. It's pretty much gone. There's a little bit more I got to do, but yeah, that works. I think it's like 95% gone. I can still see a little bit, but all right, I'll go a little bit more. Here's the passenger fender. Let me zoom in a little bit. Those spots there, this is clean. I just cleaned it off. I mean, that's dirt. It's hard to, believe it or not, it doesn't show up as much on film. It's weird how it doesn't show up as much. It's blatantly obvious, but all those spots you see are raised pieces of dirt. So I'm gonna see if we can try and get some of that out. Here, all through there. Dirt, dirt, dirt. Dirty, dirty, dirty. See that? And you can see it down here too. So let's see if we can get some of that out. Whew, okay. Here it is. Now you can still see goes to some of the dirt nibs, and I'm absolutely not going to get aggressive and try and get the rest of those out, because how I go through the clear, then that'll be bad. But it's here. I think maybe I could buff one more time. I think I see a little bit of haze. That is really nice. And basically all this, and you can see the ghost of one there, but there, you can see a couple ghosts there near the edge of the fender. But dang, man, they're pretty much gone. It's unbelievable how much dirt you can get out with buffing. All right, guys, it's not perfect, but dang, if this isn't the prettiest car I've ever owned now. All the runs and drips, I think, are gone from over this fender and from here, the back of this fender. try and sight down this door for you. That's not bad, man. Maybe, I don't know if that's, I need to buff a little bit more, I think, around this post. Amazing. And again, I got this from AL Pavey Paint Store in Canton. It's starting to come apart. I mean, I've done almost an entire car with this thing, you know, so it's okay, right? These aren't supposed to last forever, but you can see it's just an extra layer of foam padding. So it's got basically the hook and loop, the Velcro on you know, kind of both sides. It's almost like an adapter. But again, what I was told by the paint store and by Gregg Cooper is when you are wet sanding paint, you're not blocking. That's why when you block stuff, you want hard, but when you're doing this, you want squishy, foamy. So what that does is it helps keep you from going through, you know, some of the higher spots or curves of the metal. So I used this on all the grits. The 1000 that I used is 3M. You know, this is the paper. It has no, you know, it is Velcro backed, but it has no additional padding on it. Same thing with the 3M 1500. Purple finishing film is what it says. And I didn't really use the 800, to be honest with you, after I got going. So then the 2000 is this stuff here. Mirka, I guess it is. Well, here's a new one. Right? And you can see this is what I showed you earlier. Has the padding on it, so even additional padding on that. And then the 3000. And one of these, I think two of these will do the whole car. One of them did the roof and one whole side, and probably still has some more in it. I guess I'm trying to see. Yeah, I could feel this one is definitely smoother, so I think you need two to do a car like this, but that's the materials I used. That worked very well. The buffing compound that I was using, this is honestly, don't freak out, but this is actually 25 years old. It's been sitting in my garage with 3M. And then the buffer that I'm using, is probably 25 years or 30 years old as well. Vector 7-inch, does it say? Yeah. 7-inch high-speed sander. Here we go. 120 volts, 60 hertz, 11 amp. I'm going to try and see if the box actually has an RPM on it for you. And believe it or not, after like 25, 30 years, I still have the box. So it says variable speed, 1,000 to 3,000 RPM. Yes. So the setting that I found, I have buffed before, not like an entire car, but I have buffed. So I'm fairly comfortable with this thing. And the most I got up to on the speed scale is 6. It does go, oh, I guess that's max. So I guess I did have it for some parts. I think most of the time I was on 4 or 5. So 6 is obviously the highest, but most of the time I was on 4 or 5. I think I had it down to 3. I had it down to 3 on some areas, like when I just wanted to be more delicate. Wool pad, and let me also show you how Gregg taught me to clean the sucker before you use it. Basically, he said to take a screwdriver with a fairly clean tip on it and run it across while you turn it on. Then he said just to dampen it down, mist it with a little bit of the water from the spray bottle just to get it damp. Now you're ready to go. Oh, and by the way, the reason for that, Gregg said, is if you leave any old material on there, that you will cause scratches when you buff. All right, I think I'll give you this one live, real time. Now, that's done with 3,000. See if I can work some magic again here. Oh, running out of buffing compound. All right, I'm gonna say that the paint department is done with the car, and we're now gonna send it over to the detail department. By the way, they're both me, okay? But anyway, it's not done, but it's done. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for you guys that are into show cars and stuff like that, it's not that nice, but it is the nicest car I've ever owned. And, you know, it was all done with these two hands, and I couldn't be happier right now. Here's how it looks in daylight here. We kind of got a little bit of the golden hour going here. It's not bad. There's something, a little scuff there, but look at that, huh? You can see at certain angles. I see a little bit there needs to be buffed. You can see at certain angles the hood is lighter, but I'm not sure if it honestly bothers me enough to redo it right now. That's a little dirty there. Missed some buffing compound, but it really looks, honestly guys, I mean, I couldn't be happier. It really looks pretty nice. I think that needs to be buffed a little bit more right there. Yeah, I think I need to do a little bit more buffing there, but man, it is not bad. I mean, basically all those dirt nibs are basically gone. Oh, and? Not too shabby, huh? There are many other Cutlasses out there, but this one is mine. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it, maybe even learned something. Drop a comment down below if you wouldn't mind. Obviously, cobbling and cars. I've got two different kinds of content, right? The shoes, sartorial stuff, you know, as well as the automotive stuff. So feel free to check out my channel. I know the vast majority of my subscribers aren't seeing my videos, so you're bored over the holidays, you know, go through my channel, see if there's some stuff that catches your eye. In the meantime, remember, don't get too wrapped up in stuff. At the end of it all, stuff is just stuff, and we're never going to be able to take it with us. So be kind to somebody else out there. God bless, and take care. Hello, everybody. I'm Bob. Ugh.